Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, text number 19. Tada rajastamo bhavan kamalabhadayaschaye chitetaye anabidham sthitam sattve prasidati. Tada rajastamo bhavan alabhadayaschaye chetetaranabidham anuvasatvam prasidati. Dharajastamo bhava kamalabhadayaschaye chetetaranabidham yayatma sitam sattva prasidati. In the mode of passion, tama, the mode of ignorance, bhava, the situation, kama, lust and desire, lobha, hankering, adhaya, others, cha, and, ye, whatever they are, chitta, the mind, etai, by these, anabidam, without being affected, stitam, being fixed, sattve, in the mode of goodness, prasidati, thus becomes fully satisfied. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. As soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Please repeat. As soon as the irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness, and he becomes completely happy. Purport. A living being in his normal constitutional position is fully satisfied in spiritual bliss. This state of existence is called Brahmabhuta or Atmanandi, or the state of self-satisfaction. This self-satisfaction is not like the satisfaction of the inactive fool. The inactive fool is in a state of foolish ignorance, whereas the self-satisfied Atmanandi is transcendental to the material state of existence. This stage of perfection is attained as soon as one is fixed in irrevocable devotional service. Devotional service is not inactivity, but the unalloyed activity of the soul. The soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter, and as such, the diseased activities are expressed in the form of lust, desire, hankering, inactivity, foolishness, and sleep. The effect of devotional service becomes manifest by complete elimination of these effects of passion and ignorance. The devotee is fixed at once in the mode of goodness, and he further he makes further progress to rise to the position of Vasudeva, or the state of unmixed sattva, or Shuddha sattva. Only in this Shuddha sattva state can one always see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection for the Lord. The devotee is always in the mode of unalloyed goodness. Therefore, he harms no one. But the non-devotee, however educated he may be, is always harmful. A devotee is neither foolish nor passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord. However, they may advertise themselves as devotees by outward dress. A devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. Quantitatively, such qualification may be different, but qualitatively, both the Lord and His devotees are one and the same. Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Sharakaya Chakshur-militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Bhagadahayam Daratishva Padantikam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivashari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Tada, at that time. At what time? No. At what time? When Nashta Praheshva Badrishu, when almost all the anarthas have been eliminated. So these anarthas now, when we're speaking about coming to the stage of pure devotion, or before we reach pure devotion, coming to that stage, Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, coming to that stage. So you have to get rid of all the gross anarthas, like that not following the four regulated principles, pride, arrogance, all these things. They have to be gotten rid of. There might be some traces of pride, there might be some traces of desire to be recognized, etc. But basically these things should be pretty much gone. So at that time, the Raja and Tamas, the modes of passion and ignorance, are bhava. One becomes situated beyond these things. And their concomitant resultant activities, or resultant states of being. And what are those? Kamalabha. Kamalabha adaya. Kamalabha adaya means so on. So on means kama, krodha, labha, moha, mada, matsarya. These 6 enemies will basically not exist in the heart. And then at that point, as it says here, chitta etayar, then the heart becomes, by the absence of these, or etayar anabidham, where the effects of these things are not present, in the heart, stitam sattva, one is situated in sattva, and prasidati. When one is situated in sattva, we become happy. So, prasidati means happy and means peaceful, as it's stated previously in Bhagavad Gita, that one cannot be happy without peace. You can't be happy without peace. And here we're talking about peace, not like, apparently we're in a peaceful society. I mean, there's no war going on, there's some crime. But most people are not subject to that, so they feel, basically peaceful. Look out here, nice trees and birds, and nobody's attacking me except for the mosquitoes, and so it's very difficult to have external peace in this material world, even if you're in the most peaceful place. You go to Tahiti or some South Pacific island. There's a few South Pacific islands that don't even have mosquitoes, but they have snakes. And if they don't have snakes, they have something else. And if they don't have that, they have somebody will bother you, no matter what. Just like I remember once when I was a young brahmachari, one devotee who's now, some of you may know, Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhu, very famous sculptor in Krishna consciousness. So he lives in Vrindavan, he does puja and sculpting for the temple, and he's doing sculpture. Now he's doing sculpting for Mayapur, for the TOVP. So anyway, when I went to Vrindavan, we went to Vrindavan the first time, so he told my temple president that I used to live in Costa Rica and I have this camera which is worth about 10,000, professional filming camera. That's what he used to do. It's worth about $10,000, so you can have it. And so he said, where is it? Well, I left it with a kind of strange person who was my friend called Captain Cook. He lives there somewhere. So he gave us the last address. We went to that address and they said, he lives somewhere in the jungle. And so he chose me because it was in the middle of the jungle, that you should go find this camera. So first I went by bus, then I went by mule, then I went by foot, then I got to the river, then I had to wait for like 6 hours for a canoe to go down the river. And so I got to this one place, with junction of two rivers, and so I had to wait there for another boat. So while I was waiting, then the next little boat, these are little, like big canoes. That's all they had. There were not even any motorized. We're really in the jungle. And I was waiting for the canoe. And so the canoe comes up, and this German man, he said, I can't believe it. You're everywhere. These Hare Krishnas. I came to the jungle to be peaceful. And now you'll probably be chanting and singing. So it doesn't matter where we go. There's always some disturbance. So anyway, finally I found Captain Cook. He didn't have the camera. I left it with some lady in Guatemala, so I had to go 4 countries up to the north, and by hitchhiking, because of course my temple president didn't give me any money or any books, and so I had to hitchhike, and then finally arrived. And then I found the lady, and she said, I sold it. It was a nice adventure. So the point is that it's very difficult to be peaceful in this, because peace, when we speak about peace in Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, we're not talking about trying to have a situation without war. Of course, that's not possible either. Because here in Trinidad, there's war. There's war between the criminals and the police. There's war between the poor and the wealthy. There's war between this and that group, and there's war between businessmen, cutthroat, ruthless, dog eat dog. Everywhere. It doesn't matter. There's always this warfare going on. Competition. Who will be the best? Who will be the richest? Who will be the most powerful? Who will be the most recognized? Who will be the most popular? Even I remember, like, being young in school, there was always a competition. Who will be the most popular student? Who will be the most this? Who will be the most beautiful girl? Who will be every competition is going on. Oh, as long as that competition is going on, which is fueled by passion and ignorance, then there won't be any peace. But there's also, even here it's recommended, it said then one becomes situated in goodness. So this goodness, because we'll see in the next verse takes us beyond goodness. But right now we're saying, if you can give up these things, then you can be situated in goodness. Because without being situated in goodness, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Brahmabhuta prasanatma na shochati na kangshati. Without being situated in goodness, prasana atma, the soul cannot feel happiness. This is the beginning of happiness. It's between material and spiritual happiness. As Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, material happiness can never satisfy us. But you get some because you're on the Brahmabhuta platform, which means Brahman. And this doesn't mean Mayavad. Here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, this self-satisfaction is not like the self-satisfaction of the inactive fool. So who is he talking about? Is he talking about a drunk, an inactive fool, meaning he just gets so drunk he can't? No, he's talking about Mayavadis. These are the inactive fools. That they're fools because they don't understand Krishna. They think that they've reached the absolute goal, that they've become one with God. So this is the inactive fool. Not talking about, there's a lot of other inactive fools. But they're usually active. Even though they're fools, they're active fools. Srila Prabhupada said that there are 4 kinds of people. And the worst one is an active fool. Because an active fool always creates a disturbance. An inactive fool, of course, these Mayavad inactive fools, they also create disturbances. But, a foolish person who's inactive, at least they don't create so much disturbance. And then there is an active intelligent. They're better than the fools. But they try to do everything themselves. And therefore they may be successful, but when they're gone, then their success goes away. And the best is the inactive intelligent. Meaning that someone who inspires others to be Krishna conscious or whatever realm, sphere of activity. And inactive, someone who inspires. This is the best position. So, these inactive fools, we're not talking about, when we talk about Brahmabhuta prasanatma, we're not talking about Mayavadis. We're talking about Brahmavadis. So Brahmavadis. And what are the characteristics of that satisfaction? Of being really situated in Brahman. Not artificially situated in Brahman. The symptom is na shochati na kangshati. They're not lamenting for the past, meaning mode of ignorance. And they're not hankering for the future, meaning mode of passion. And samasarvashu bhuteshu. And they can also see the equality of all living beings. Of course, again, the Mayavadis misinterpret that samasarvashu bhuteshu means we're all equal, and everyone, and including Krishna, he's equal too. So Srila Prabhupada, at the end of the purport, he qualifies that. He says that we qualitatively we are one with Krishna, but quantitatively we aren't. So this is the achinta beda beda tattva. So how to be peaceful? How to be peaceful? One has to free oneself from all the disturbances. And what are those disturbances caused by? We think, well, just freeing myself from disturbances means I have a nice house with a big fence. But even then, the dog next door, the fence won't keep his barking out. Or the airplanes flying overhead, whatever. And then whatever you have inside the house, the wife, the children, the husband, there's always disturbance. So therefore Prahlad Maharaj said, Saduman ye surya bhardya dehinam. So his father said, what have you learned? And he said, best of the demons. Best of the demons. What I've learned is that anyone who is embodied in this material world, sada samadvignadhyam. Their intelligence is always full of anxieties because they're making all kinds of plans. with whatever degree of intelligence that they may have by karma. Sada, always. They're always doing it, making plans to become successful. No? And therefore, asat grahat. No? They're always in asat. They're always in some temporary material condition which will change and will create more anxiety. So, hitvatmapatam. So then, Prahlad Maharaj says, hitvatmapatam, that one should give up this atmapatam, griham, the atmapatam, or miserable condition of the soul, or fallen condition of the soul. Patam means really fallen, technically. Griham means if you're griha medi. Now, griha, many people may have griha, but if they're grihastas, just like we give everybody the benefit of the doubt in our Krishna consciousness movement, and we call them grihastas. But actually, sometimes they may be borderline grihamedis, meaning that they're trying to enjoy, and you don't have to. It doesn't. That's not only applicable to grihastas; it's also applicable to brahmacharis and sannyasis and vanaprasthas. If the mind is agitated by the anxiety of trying to enjoy this material world, because it's always anxiety. To enjoy the material world, you have to make plans and you have to work hard. Even if you're wealthy, you still have to work hard. Just like first there is gaining wealth, that you have to work hard. And if you gain wealth or power or position, whatever, then to preserve it is even more difficult, more anxiety. Because the anxiety of getting something, acquiring something, that then you work hard, but you feel some sense of achievement. But then to preserve it, keep somebody from stealing, keep somebody from taking over, keep the competition from wiping you out, that's even more anxiety. And then, even more difficult, you have to give it up. If you have to give it up. Giving up in this material world, just like one devotee friend of mine, he called me the other day. I think he's like 66 years old, and he said that, now that, I almost had a heart attack. He had a heart attack, mild heart attack, and he said I was in so much anxiety. I realized how attached I still am. He said I thought I was becoming detached. My children are growing up, and my wife, we're still together, but I travel several weeks out of the month, several months out of the year, and she sometimes, every once in a while she comes, usually she stays back. So, but then when I had this heart attack, I started thinking, what about this? What about that? What about this? I'm not chanting nice enough. He said, I realized how attached I am. And he said, I realized the nature of attachment. I thought it was just wife and children, but it's so many things. So, not an easy thing to give up this material world. I have one disciple that, helps people in Vrindavan. He stays in Vrindavan. He helps people when they're in those last moments, like spends time, the last hours, and he said so many people he's seen that, they seem to be very peaceful. They're kind of accepting, I'm going to leave pretty soon. But they're still eating, and they're still, But then when those last few hours come, he said, almost everybody, I've seen them, they feel a great anxiety. Because you actually feel, I'm leaving this body, even though the body is in a miserable condition, cancer, whatever. He said, I've seen a few that were really fixed up and chanting, and they become very peaceful at that time. But he said, still, you see, everything that Prabhupada said is true, that when the temperature of the body, when the soul starts becoming detached, there's an anxiety. And he said, most people, and he said, then what we do, we get many devotees, we chant, and we say, just Krishna's with, and then he said that usually if it's a devotee who's done nice service, then generally they calm down at the last like 20 minutes or, But he said, even I've seen devotees who've dedicated their lives, the anxiety of leaving the body is very great. And he said in some cases, they don't calm down. Their anxiety increases, and we just have to chant very loudly and overcome their anxiety. And they just, so it's not an easy thing. And so this hankering and lamenting has to be overcome. And that's just, and that's described here, prasidati. We can become a little bit satisfied. So previously in this chapter, in the beginning, famous verse, Savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhaktir doksaje ahaitukya pratyata yayatma suprasidati. The same word, prasidati or supra. But here it says prasidati. When you get to sattva, you get prasidati. You get some happiness. But when you Savaipum samparo dharmo yato bhaktir doksaje, when you really dedicate yourself in the devotional service to Krishna, and it has the characteristics of ahituki and apatyata. It has the characteristics of being without any motivation other than wanting to please Krishna. And it's never deterred. It's constant. You're always engaged in devotional service. Then yayatma, then atma suprasidati. It can be su. Su, of course, in Sanskrit means very much. You become totally satisfied. The soul becomes totally satisfied in that condition. So also, this sattva or Brahma-bhuta stage, Krishna says in last part of the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Mam chayo vyabhicharina. When you become abhyabhicharina, when you don't fall down, that doesn't mean falling down means I run off and don't follow the principles. It means when you don't fall down into any material consciousness. Bhakti yogena sevate. And you're situated constantly in serving Krishna. Then sagunan samititaitan. Then sagunan samititaitan. We really transcend the modes of nature, Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. And you're situated in the real platform of Brahma-bhuta, the highest platform of Brahma-bhuta, which means Bhakti Yogena Sevate. I'm serving Krishna. That is the real platform of devotional service. So when we're situated on that platform, as Prahlad Maharaj was saying, Griham Andakupam, you realize that this griha that I have, if I think that this is my castle for Maya, otherwise, I have my fence to keep out others, and I have my fence to keep in Maya. Otherwise, I'm not only protecting myself from dogs or violent neighbors or whatever, but I'm protecting myself from anyone who wants to make me too Krishna conscious. Behind these walls, I have my castle of Maya. If I go to the temple, okay, I act differently. I go like this, I stand before the Lord, I bow down. But then when I get back to my castle, where Maya is the regent, then I can do what I want. I can do whatever I want. Of course, you can't do what you want, but you think like that. Because when I get there, there's also wife, children, and they all want to do what they want also. So you have the competition. I want this, I want that, I want to watch this program. So what do you do? Okay, well, let's get some extra computers so everyone can, tune in and watch what they want to do, or see what they want to do, or play the games that they want to play, or explore the internet, the unlimited world of Maya, Wikipedia, find out all kinds of things about Maya and how she works very nicely, how she confuses everyone, including me. You know? So, no, this is what basically is happening. We all have this tendency. Because Maya is very powerful. Daivihi gunamayi mama maya duratyaya. She's very difficult to overcome her. And how can we do it? No, by surrendering to Krishna. And surrendering to Krishna is not, it's not some self-conceived conception. We have that tendency of the self-conceived conception. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada includes some things. As I was just reading the purport, I see some words. It's very important when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports to really concentrate on the terms that he uses. They're not accidental. Like we may say something and we say it in a general way, but we can see everything is deliberate here. It's very deliberate because Srila Prabhupada said that Krishna was writing these purports. Prabhupada said that. No, of course, Prabhupada's writing them, but Krishna's inspiring Prabhupada to say certain things. Just like it says here in the verse and in the purport. As soon as irrevocable loving service. Otherwise, we may go to a temple, we may get initiated, and someone engages us in service. Sometimes you're almost twisting the arm, but they engage us in service. But that doesn't, it's not irrevocable. That's like, I do some service, and then I do some other things. But irrevocable, it cannot be changed, it cannot be stopped, it cannot be altered. Irrevocable. When the service comes into that category of being irreversible, of being impossible to modify, because it's so intense, then when we come to that platform, then these things happen. Irrevocable service. And then we can transcend these modes of nature. Otherwise, sometimes we have the tendency to overestimate ourselves. We call ourselves devotees. So I was seeing something else here. Let me see if I can focus in on it again. First, I covered that point. So the soul's activity becomes adulterated in contact with matter. So therefore, it means that in this irrevocable devotional service, there cannot be contact with matter. Now, how can I not be in contact with matter? I'm in a material body. It means that that one's devotional service is so focused and intense that even though you may be in the midst of material atmosphere or a material situation, you don't identify with it. No. You don't identify with it at all. And then all these things go away. The complete elimination of the effects of passion and ignorance, which means lust and desire and greed and anger. When these things are completely, it says here, these things are eliminated completely, and the devotee is situated in goodness, and then he rises to the platform of Vasudeva. Only then can one see Krishna eye to eye by dint of pure affection. And then Srila Prabhupada addresses the point that what I've been trying to emphasize a little bit. A devotee is never foolish or passionate. The harmful, foolish, and passionate cannot be devotees of the Lord, however they may advertise themselves by their outward dress. This is so important. We have that tendency to label ourselves as devotees, as Vaishnavas. But Srila Prabhupada says here that unless you have gone beyond foolishness, mode of ignorance, and passionate activity, unless you're free from these things, you're really not a Vaishnava. You may dress like that. You may put on very nice tilak with a toothpick so it looks with super straight lines. I see some where they have one of the little stamps, and you may dress the nicest, really sattvic-looking cloth and conduct yourself and dance and chant. But what do you do behind closed doors? Then, if behind closed doors, my consciousness is dancing before Krishna, just like I was dancing before Krishna with my material body in the kirtan, then you can say I'm having some success. Then I'm coming to the platform of being a Vaishnava. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as I've mentioned in several occasions, says that actually a neophyte devotee is not a Vaishnava. They're only called Vaishnavas by the mercy of real Vaishnava. Otherwise, a real Vaishnava, like Srila Prabhupada, gives us the shelter by giving us the process, at least the externals of what a Vaishnava should do. But it's up to us to develop the internals. And Srila Prabhupada says here that a devotee is always qualified with all the good qualities of God. Yashasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana savraya gunais tatra samasate sura. In the Bhagavatam it says that one who is yashasti bhaktir, who is always bhaktir bhagavat akinchana, who is situated in devotional service as a kinchana, meaning I have nothing other than Krishna's service. I have nothing other than Krishna's mercy. Sarvayar gunayar tatra samasate sura. All of the godly qualities appear in the heart and in the life and in the consciousness of such a devotee. So these are the things we have to take. This is internal development. Externally, I've seen people engaged for 20 years in devotional service. I mean, doing service, all the time, practically. But if the mind is still hankering, if the mind is still contemplating material nature, if one is being influenced, nobody can really deal with that. Nobody can even see it necessarily. Although generally speaking, if we're, but there may be some subtle things that cannot be seen very clearly by most persons in the heart. But a pure devotee can see these things. Srila Prabhupada had the ability to see by the actions, by the expressions of a devotee, what his real heart is. When one becomes more developed in devotional service, one can gain this vision of seeing, even though someone may be apparently fully engaged in devotional service, can see there's something's not right here. Something needs to be adjusted. And generally speaking, we're not so eager or we're not so willing to make those adjustments. And then after 5, 10, 15, 20 years, 25 years, we see people, the doubts that they have harbored within their heart come to surface and become manifest. And then surprise, some surprise comes. Of course, it's not really a surprise for one who is fixed and experienced in devotional service. It's not a surprise. And therefore Srila Prabhupada said, don't be surprised who leaves devotional service, be surprised who stays. Leaving? Many people leave. Most people leave. How many people have come through these doors or other temple doors? And how many of them are still around? How many of them are every day increasing their devotional service and doing more and more for Krishna? Generally, we see the opposite. People come, they're very enthusiastic, they want to get initiated, then they get initiated, and that's like the peak, and then the downward slide. Or some of them, they're a little more fixed, they'll pick up again, and then you get the second initiation. And then, what happened? And, they were supposed to be volunteering some service on the altar, cooking, preaching, Harinam Sankirtan, distributing books. And this is, if you're really a Brahmin, you're really Brahmin initiated, you should be very enthusiastic to do these things. Otherwise, you should be worshipping your deities regularly in home, very nicely. Otherwise, that Brahmin initiation was simply an external ceremony. Because, as Srila Prabhupada says many times, Brahman means, if you're a Brahman, then really the only real Brahman is a Vaishnava. Just like in Krishna Leela, there were the Jagyak Brahmins. And they were very expert at all these ceremonies and rituals and doing all these things, and chase away ghosts and all kinds of things like that. But I mean, even in Mayapur, I know that if you get bit by a cobra, who do you go to? You go to the Muslims. They're actually more expert. The Muslim snake charmers, or they're very expert at using different mantras and different means to get the poison. It doesn't affect you so much. They have this methodology, and they deal with certain herbs. So they know this tantra, even though they're Muslims. They're not even, what to speak of Brahmins, they're not even Hindus, but they're very expert at these things. So these are mechanical things. All these ceremonies and rituals, they're mechanical. And what really makes them effective is the consciousness of the executor, not the ritual in itself. It's empty, it's useless, practically useless. If the consciousness of the person that's performing it is not situated in Krishna, especially all of our Vaishnava rituals. Not just how to do this and you can rattle off some mantras. No, that doesn't do the trick. Even if you don't know any mantras. Just like Srila Prabhupada said about one of his disciples. He said, someone said that, I don't think he's pronouncing the Gayatri mantra properly. And Prabhupada said, he's so sincere that whatever he says, Krishna will accept it. And so that's what Krishna looks at. Krishna doesn't look at your external expertise. Although certainly, if one is a qualified devotee, one of the qualities is daksha. You want to be expert in everything you do. If you do a yajna, you should be expert. If you do an artik, or you do an offering, or you cook, you should be expert. Not just in traditional cooking. Like here, there may be traditional, Trini cooking, and there may be traditional Gujarati cooking, traditional South Indian cooking. Some people are very expert in these things. But you should be expert in preparing it for Krishna. And that means when you cook, you're thinking about Krishna, you're thinking about satisfying Krishna. So therefore, I may have to modify my traditional cooking method. Especially when I'm cooking for the deity. Now when I'm cooking for some festival where people have certain tastes, then I go to the traditional, because that's what they want. And that's what they'll take. And if I do that, offering it to Krishna, saying, this may not be the rasgula that Srimati Radharani prepares for you so nicely, or rasmalai. No, this may not be, this may be Chana Bharat, Trinidadian style. But please accept this, because this is what everybody likes here. And also I happen to be pretty good at fixing it, because I learned that from my mother, from my associates. But we have to be concentrated. If we're cooking, concentrated on satisfying the deity. Just like Mother Yashoda, when she would prepare milk or yogurt for Krishna, she would sing songs remembering Krishna. Some of them composed by her, and some of them composed by expert Brahmins. Of course, those expert Brahmins, who were they? They were devotees of Krishna. They were pure devotees. They were associates of Krishna. So all these beautiful mantras, she would chant, and she would compose beautiful songs about Krishna. And we spoke yesterday that one should not be so anxious to compose things unless we're pure devotees. So therefore we should rely more upon singing the songs of our Vaishnava acharyas. And we should do that when we're cooking. Sometimes I hear in the kitchen, when I'm giving a class and they're cooking, I hear all this talking going on. I just think, how can they be thinking about how I'm going to prepare this very nicely for Krishna? Because there's too much talking going on. It should be meditation. Meditation on Krishna. I remember when I used to cook for the deities, that we would, I would always put on some Krishna. If I, either I would have somebody there reading some Krishna pastimes of Krishna, so I could really remember it. Or I would put on some bhajan and try to meditate on Krishna, or some recording, or someone speaking about Krishna, so that the consciousness is focused on Krishna, not on stirring or this or that. Of course, we have to concentrate on making it very nice also, but there should be a meditation. Cooking is a meditation. Cooking for Krishna, cooking for the Vaishnavas is a meditation. It's not, and doing anything. Sankirtan is also a meditation. It's a constant meditation on giving Nityananda's mercy to the fallen conditioned souls. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, Nityananda's mercy. It's not like, let me see how many books I can distribute, and so that everyone will think, wow, he's really accomplished. You have to think. Because everything we do in devotional service, even if we speak, we should be thinking, let me try to serve the Vaishnavas by begging Krishna to let me say something that is meaningful. Just like I've seen that Jiva Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, whenever they begin a commentary, they say, although I am completely unqualified and foolish, may Krishna allow me to say something that is pleasing to the Vaishnavas, or something similar, they may say. And they think that, they meditate, they feel that. No, they're not just saying that, this is what you're supposed to say before you do this, or this is what you're supposed to do. Of course, that's the way you may start out, but it has to penetrate the heart and permeate the consciousness. That's how a Vaishnava perfects their service. They're never satisfied until their consciousness is absorbed in meditating on that particular service that they're doing, where there's no interference, there's no passion or ignorance interfering. Even when we chant and dance before the deities, our chanting and dancing, of course, it's very normal that neophyte devotees especially in their dancing and sometimes in their chanting, that excess passion that exists in there, that may come out. And sometimes they, dance. Sometimes one may have to try to see is that ecstatic or that wild dancing, is it the mode of passion, or is it feeling ecstasy of Krishna? Many times I see it's a combination of both. Although they feel great happiness to dance for the deity, but then the passion within the body kind of takes over. And Prabhupada would see this sometimes, and he would stop the kirtan. And he would just say, just try to please the Lord. Well, I was in one kirtan in Vrindavan. I mentioned before that there were some wild kirtans in Mayapur, where devotees would run from one side of the temple to the other, full speed, and then slide in before the deities. And they would go and slide in before Prabhupada. Then Prabhupada, because Prabhupada usually wasn't there at that time, but then Prabhupada came back early from his morning walk, and he said, "What is this? This is simply lust." And so everybody. But then another time, one devotee was singing Prabhupada Guru Puja, and Prabhupada said, "Stop!" And he said, "This singing is not devotional. This singing is professional." And everybody just, you could hear a pin drop. The only thing we could hear was birds chirping. We didn't know what to do. Because the devotees were dancing wildly, and the devotee was and Prabhupada just stop. This is not devotional. This is professional. And then so we did. Are we going to start up again? And then So finally another devotee took over and chanted very simple, according, and then Prabhupada smiled. And then Prabhupada called that devotee over, and he said, you sing very nicely, but you have to do it for Krishna. I was standing right next to the devotee, because I knew him pretty well. You sing very nicely, but you have to do it for Krishna. So we have to learn everything we do it for Krishna. And then Krishna will be satisfied. So these are some thoughts. And if we do that, of course, then Prahlad Maharaj says that Vanam gato yatto dharim ashrayeta. Then one should go to the forest. And Srila Prabhupada said, that forest means Vrindavan. And for the preachers, the forest means the big cities. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, big cities are the the real forest in Kali Yuga, full of dangerous animals. Because he said, a forest means full of dangerous animals. And the most dangerous animals are people with uncontrolled senses. We see. We never see an animal killing hundreds or thousands of millions of other animals. We never see that. You may see two bulls fighting or two lions fighting for supremacy, and they usually don't even kill one another. They just kind of fight for a while, and then one of them sees the other one stronger and he goes away and the other one takes over the herd. But human beings, they'll blow up 1 million people, kill 1 million people just to get the queen. Famous Marcus Antonius, getting Cleopatra, like 2 million people died so he could get Cleopatra. And then she just took over, and defeated him. So what was the gain? Millions of people. Just some crazy person, power-hungry person. Nowadays especially, some crazy person gets some atomic weapon. Actually, many people don't know. I think it was there was a movie made about it. I didn't see the movie, but I was told, I can't remember when it was, but there was one time between Russia and U.S. that one submarine, they got the message that there was an attack, and because some crazy general had saw something and he thought that the other side was attacking, so he sent a message to a submarine that launch your missiles, and it was a Russian submarine, and so, but the captain of the Russian submarine thought, he thought it was unusual that he hadn't only got this from one person, so he hesitated. And then, this message over here, somebody saw it. They called Russia, and the Russian leader called the submarine just in time. The captain was 1 minute away from sending the missiles, which would have started World War III. It was 1 minute or 45 seconds before he was thinking, should I do it? Just getting ready. And then he got the call from his headquarters. No, don't do it. No, it's a false alarm. And there's been many such things, in different places, in different times, where just someone, and so it just takes one crazy person, just press a button, and he kills thousands of people, which will probably cause the other side to go and press a button and kill another 10,000, 100,000, million people. Just one nuclear weapon in a city, in a big city, can, especially the after effect, together with the after effect, can kill 1 million people, 2 million people. And so what to speak of this? How many of them are there? Hundreds, maybe even thousands. If they all went off, imagine. Then you get one of these science fiction scenes, where everybody's running around in the desert and still killing one another. Even though they just killed almost everybody, they'll still be running around killing one another. And Prabhupada said, why is this? What is it? He said, because they are killing the animals. And Prabhupada said, there can never be peace unless they stop killing the animals. So therefore this Krishna consciousness movement, we try to teach people that you respect every living entity. But really people can't, even though there's so many vegetarians, most of the vegetarians in the world are vegetarians for health reasons. And vegans, or it's all for health reasons. They're not thinking the compassion. I mean, some vegans, they do think compassion, but generally speaking, it's all just so I can be healthy. As soon as, or some other motive, but it's not compassion, because the compassion can only come when we understand the nature of the soul, and that within every living entity there is a soul. Just like the other day, just to conclude, I was walking in the park, and there was a group of people. There was a little snake, maybe this long, little tiny snake. Obviously harmless, totally harmless snake. And these people all gathered around this man, picked up his stick to crush it. I said, well, why do you want to kill that snake? This is a harmless snake. I said, do you understand? That is a living being just like you. And they all, I started explaining, and then the man, after he heard it, he took his stick and took the snake and put him in the grass. Just, that's all it takes, because they were a little pious, But they've been so conditioned. All these animals, kill them, no problem. Squash them, kill them, eat them. Because but they're not that bad, they're ignorant. Prabhupada said they're not innocent, they're ignorant. I said no one in the material world is innocent. Everyone is ignorant. Innocent means Vaikuntha. They're innocent. But everyone else is ignorant in this material world. We call them innocent because sometimes they haven't been exposed to certain types of nasty habits. So that you can say that's some kind of innocent ignorance. But we have to teach this Krishna consciousness, and therefore we have to be very dedicated to serving the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Srila Prabhupada has taught us. So those are some thoughts on this verse. We'll stop here. And any comments or questions? Yes?
Can you elaborate on how we could recognize that we're doing something enthusiastically versus doing it in more passion?
How can we recognize it? Well, chant better. Try to chant in the mode of goodness. Concentrate on the chanting of the holy name. That gives you vision. Some people chant and they're very fixed on, chanting 16 rounds, which we should do as a minimum. But we should also be just equally as fixed on the quality of that chanting. So when the quality of the chanting is good, then you can distinguish these things. You can see that enthusiasm is good, even if it's inspired by the mode of passion. If we can direct that enthusiasm to pleasing Krishna, even though it may be, because Arjuna was also in the mode of passion. The mode of passion in the sense that he was being a Kshatriya, he had passion. But when that passion is guided, it's not that we can just give up. When one has a passionate nature, you can't just give it up. That's not advised. Krishna didn't tell Arjuna, yeah, you want to be in the mode of goodness, go ahead. No, it's good, it's nice. I'm recommending it. No. But he's saying being in goodness means you are guided by goodness. Even though your tendency may be, your nature may be passion. Like, we need passion. Get things done requires some passion. Otherwise, if everybody's just in the mode of goodness, and nothing will get done. Everybody just sit around chanting all day and nothing gets done. So the mode of passion, but not controlled by the mode of passion. We utilize that passion, which is inspired, that energy which is inspired by the mode of passion. We control it, we utilize it. Mode of ignorance, we utilize it to rest, let the body rest, but it doesn't control us. So some people are naturally situated in the mode of ignorance because they have Shudra nature. So what should they do? They should work hard. And then by working hard and being cared for by those who are in the mode of goodness or the mode of passion, but that mode of passion and goodness, even if you're in the mode of goodness, as Srila Prabhupada says here, another thing we should pick up from his words. Devotional service is not inactivity, but unalloyed activity of the soul. So even if you're in the mode of goodness, you should be very active. Active in study, active in preaching, active in, everyone should be inspired. And that's real enthusiasm. So it's not that the mode of ignorance is bad. Some people are naturally situated in the lower modes, meaning their tendency, the tendency of the body. And so they should work hard for Krishna. And that working hard means someone tells them what to do. People who are inclined to the mode of ignorance, they have to be told what to do. People who are inclined to the mode of passion, they know what to do, but sometimes they get carried away, so they have to be guided by those in the mode of goodness. And those in the mode of goodness have to be inspired by those who are in the Vasudeva or Vishuddha Sattva state. And those who are in that state, they are always looking for inspiration from other devotees, and from Krishna, and from Krishna's words, and from Shastra, Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. So everyone is guided in Vaishnava society. Everyone is anxious to receive guidance, anxious to receive input. And when we're governed by pride and arrogance, we don't want to listen to anybody. So you can also judge. If you're in the mode of passion, then you won't want to be, and you're controlled by the mode of passion, you'll be disturbed when someone tries to tell you what to do. I said, Prabhu, you should be careful with that. What do you mean? No. What do you mean? I'm like this. I'm okay. So if we have that tendency, then look out for it. If I'm doing that, then I understand that I'm being governed by the modes. I have to utilize those modes properly. You can't give them up. No. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave the example of being in a boat. If there's a boat without a captain, it's just carried away by the waves, and it can even, capsize. But if you know how to ply through the ocean properly, then you know how to take each wave and how to deal with it and how to be able to minimize the effect. So that's what Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Guru and Vaishnava are doing for us. They're helping us to see how to navigate these modes of nature so that we can utilize them in Krishna's service, utilize their influence to do something for Krishna, to take care of this body. We utilize the mode of ignorance to take care of the body. No. Because ultimately eating and sleeping are mode of ignorance. No. They're actually mode of ignorance activities because they have to do with the body. No. Especially sleeping. But if we utilize it properly, we sleep just enough, then you're controlling that mode of ignorance. You're utilizing it for Krishna. We don't sleep too much. We're not anxious to sleep. We're anxious to serve Krishna. Not like here, dive into the bed, like here's the nectar. Finally I can just, we utilize it for Krishna. Yes. Yes. Well, you have to be, you have to have the ability to, enough Krishna consciousness and enough intelligence to do it in such a way that it's inspiring, or it's illuminating. Sometimes people are not inspired because they're so covered over that they have to be illuminated. They have to. So one has to figure out the way how to do that. And the best way is that one's Krishna consciousness is to such a degree that even though a person may resist, they'll ultimately listen. Because they see that you're Krishna conscious and they feel that you're doing it in a compassionate mode. You're not doing it to criticize, you're not doing it to take over, you're not doing it to, impose something. You're doing it because you're feeling friendship and compassion. So we have to demonstrate friendship and compassion. That should be what we're conveying most of the time to others. Friendship, compassion, understanding, accompanying others in service, recognizing others as Vaishnavas. And when those things are there, then people will have more of a tendency to listen to what you have to say. But if you're too dominant, too passionate, too impositive, too critical, if that's all you're doing most of the time, then you generally people won't listen. Even though you may be right. Being right is not the whole formula. But you have to have that degree of respect from others. So respect is not, we don't look for it for self-aggrandizement, but sometimes we need to have respect in order to perform our service. So we'll stop here. So today I'll be leaving this temple. I'm very happy to have been here and have your association. I hope that everyone who's serving here will every day become more and more enthusiastic to please their lordships and to become more surrendered to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki.